Drops from Chill Hop Music Illustrations 2021. Welcome back to Hybrid Theory. I'm Aurian Archive, and so let's get started. This is not the follow-up to the Steam Deck that I wanted to do. I'm streaming very late at night. Uh, there was finally a break in the weather, so I went out and rode my bike today. So, not gonna try typing and think I'd Last night, I'm aware of how often I was misspelling things. If you're curious, I had literally left the blood lab and still came and did the stream while still up on anticoagulants. And I think that really showed. So let's try not to repeat that. Now, if I did this right, the title of the stream or the note on it should give you potentially all the information you may particularly need to uh, know about what I intend to be talking about. And what I intend to be talking about is the Radeon 6600 XT. Really don't have a polite way to say this. AMD nor any of the board partners offered me one. I don't have one to test. So please do keep that in mind when I tell you the following. The Radeon 6600 XT is not worth it. It costs, if you can buy one, and this is a strong if you can find one, it will run you $380 MSRP. Now, this is for a 1080p, as in 1920 by 1080 pixels, 144 hertz refresh rate graphics card. Dr. Lisa Su herself is effectively on the record calling it a 1080p beast, which is where we get to what's in the background and actually on the video. 1080, any refresh rate, and just for reference, 1080 interlaced and 1080 progressive just refer to how the image is sent. 1080p does not necessarily mean it's locked to 60 hertz. 1080p just means that every scene is rendered and sent in full. So 1080p 144 hertz is every frame rendered at 144 hertz and sent at 144 hertz. And therein lies the overwhelmingly huge problem with the Radeon 6600 XT. It is playing in the same ballpark, according to the words of AMD CEO, the same exact ballpark as mobile phones that cost how much? Give me a second while I get to it. The Blackview, the BL 5000. Uh, I've been getting emails about this one. You know, do I know anything about Blackview? Not really. Uh, is it using a MediaTek chipset? Yeah. Is it going to be good in 1080 at its refresh rate? Definitely. Think it's a MediaTek. I think is in here. MediaTek Dimensity 700, and this phone is a 1080p device. I that This is what the Radeon 6600 XT is is being pitched again. It's being pitched against something that literally costs or is going to cost $279. This is how can you say politely? Targeted error? Huge, massive mistargeting? Okay, so the next window over from that is the phone I'm currently using, the Red Magic 6R. This has Snapdragon's 888 in it. Now, it's a little bit more. It starts at 500. Well, okay, so it is, the uh, Radeon 6600 XT starts at 370, 380. So, yeah, okay, this phone is more expensive, but it also goes with you and fits in your hand. Doesn't require an external power supply. I Part of me is really, kind of the what was AMD thinking? Were they thinking? And the thing is, I'm really at a loss for words because I really don't want to scroll down to the 2 pages underneath that because they are both monitors, inexpensive monitors that support FreeSync and QHD, as in higher than 1080p, as in 1440 W or ultra wide QHD. Those are the mid range targets. It, I, okay, I do on some level. I do get it. I do understand why AMD released a graphics card that costs $380 that's playing in the same market, that's targeted at these literally the same market, excuse me, as high-end cell phones or high-end gaming phones. And okay, the background here is there is a component shortage. AMD is having a problem getting the parts to make graphics cards. AMD is having problems getting the memory to make graphics cards. AMD's in kind of a tight spot. They are effectively, Dr. Lisa Su is held hostage. The AMD, and this is one of the reasons why the Steam Deck is such a big freaking deal, and that is AMD finally having figured out to a way to get around the problems. I don't know what problems is. The Steam Deck is a way for AMD to get a product to market and do an end run around bad faith partners. And that's what AMD's board partners are right now. They are bad faith partners. No AMD board partner, Sapphire, Asus, Gigabyte, none of them, MSI, none of them did anything to stop the sale of graphic cards to crypto miners. None of them did anything to stop the sale to scalpers. None of them did anything to stop the theft of their graphics cards and forced sales to Chinese Bitcoin miners. They did nothing. They didn't move factories. They didn't shift production lines. They didn't do anything. They just, okay, fine, here you go. And AMD's deal with Steam, a deal with Valve, with the Steam Deck, is one of the primary ways that AMD managed to find a workaround to the outright theft of their hardware. I'm sorry, I'm working on something else in the background. It's not doing what I want it to do. And I'm not sure why it's not doing what I want it to do. There's one. I have no idea. Okay. Yeah, I'm like getting air. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As a such, viewers will experience buffering. Yeah, I know. Okay, so trying to stay on track here. I get it. AMD has contracts that has to be filled. AMD must supply a certain number of graphics processors to its board partners, and once those GPUs go to the board partners, it's out of AMD's hands what the board partners do from that point forward. Problem is, it's making AMD look bad. Now, the entire situation is far more complicated than just that. Excuse me. The situation is effectively further complicated. I'm trying to figure out a good way to say this, and I'm not really coming up with one. The problem is complicated by the fact that AMD is not willing to act on some of the known definitives. AMD is not willing to call, AMD is not willing to torch bridges, is not willing to call the bad faith actors out. AMD is not willing to tell the pre-sellers, the ones who are selling to the crypto miners, that no, you do that, you're going to lose your contract. Problem is, AMD is kind of stuck. There are not a large number of there are not a large number of board partners out there that aren't already spoken for. It's someone either makes graphics cards for Nvidia or they make graphics cards for AMD, and that's pretty much it. And because 100% of the market share is pretty much already spoken for, again we come back to held hostage. AMD needs the board partners. They just can't tell them to bugger off. What you guys are doing is wrong. You're not selling to our actual clients. And the vendors don't have any reason to change their behavior because they are still making money. They are still selling AMD's graphics cards, just not to the intended clientele. There are no graphics cards to actually be had in the retail market. But everybody is still making money, or are they? It's, might sound like an odd question to ask, but if the vendors are selling to scalpers directly, they're selling to Bitcoin miners, digital currency miners directly, and they're not even bothering to put the cards into a retail position where they would actually be in a legitimate retail market for sale on store shelves. Doesn't AMD still make money? Technically? Yeah, the cards were still bought and paid for. There's no incentive from the board vendor side. There's no incentive on the part of Asus, ASRock, MSI, Gigabyte, insert whoever else here to change what they're doing. They're still making money. AMD's still making money. Nvidia's still making money. What's the problem? Well, the problem is developer adoption. Developers who make games that run on graphics cards can only make games based on graphics cards that are available. There are a wider range of NVIDIA graphics cards available in the traceable gaming market simply because there are more digital currency miners who have sold malfunctioning graphics cards off that aren't mining properly anymore. If you get, and this again, this comes back to Amazon killing RTX 3090. No, Amazon did not kill RTX 3090. You probably bought a card that was already used by a digital currency miner, probably was shipped out of the factory to a currency miner. It didn't work, and then it got sold again. You're buying broken, defective products. When they don't work, whoop-de-doo, big surprise. But that's why there's a lot more RTX cards in the market that you can get from scalpers because the digital currency miners have already burnt the cards. I mean, those cards are no longer performing like they should when they were resold. And that's kind of scary when you think about it, that all of those RTXs that Steam is tracking, what 99.9% of them are ticking time bombs that have already been ran at max for whoever knows how long and were just resold when they stopped performing for the miner properly. Every single one of them. I mean, okay, there may be one or two that because of a lottery might have legitimately never been used in a mining operation, but it's a minuscule minority, so small I'm not even sure I could extrapolate how small it is. And that's why we come back to, I get why AMD had to miss target, why they had to announce a 1080p 144 hertz graphics card instead of just making, because AMD and Nvidia have both done this. With the long ago, the GTS 250 from Nvidia was just a rebadged version of the card that came before it, because the card that came before it was just so good, it was still tromping on the toes of Nvidia's next generation. So rather than, uh, kill a goose that was laying golden eggs, they gave that previous generation of die shrunk, slapped a new badge on it, and sold it. And the GTS 250 for its time was a great card. You were getting flagship level performance for not much money. And that really was AMD's way out with with the new graphics card right now, a new graphics card for the end of the year. They really could have just put the 5700 through a die shrink, and the die shrink alone would have lowered the cooling requirements, which would have raised the maximum frequency. Could have kept the same memory, the lower performance memory that the 5700 was supposed to ship to retail with, and then they could have just worked, say, with Valve and shipped 5700s only to people who pre-purchased or pre-registered a 5700 through Steam. I mean, Valve's already proven with the Steam Deck that yes, they can handle literally millions of transactions of people pre-registering interest. I Valve can do it. So why didn't AMD do that? Because AMD was still making the best of a bad situation. They couldn't get the components, as I understand it, to make another run of 5700s on a die shrunk process. They had to ship what they had access to. And they have to take the hit that although they will make money from it because these cards will still be sold, they'll just have to take the hit that the cards won't actually be sold into the gaming market. Developers won't be targeting AMD products because gamers can't actually buy AMD products. Now, there's kind of a misnomer to that because Microsoft has taken the reins here and is aggressively pushing, if you have Xbox Games Pass, you're in line to get an Xbox X. If if you didn't have Game Pass Ultimate, there's now like a program where if you have an Xbox One and you have Games Pass, you can pre-register, pre-queue for an Xbox X or Xbox S. And that's the other problem is the Xbox S. Let's real quickly here. Again, I really don't want to drill down and look at the actual monitors because then I'm just going to get depressed at how inexpensive QHD monitors are. But Xbox Series S, and okay, if you can get it from Sam's Club, it's what, 300? If you get it on Xbox Games Pass, you'll pay a little bit more, and you can see that scammers and scalpers are still pushing prices on these. But if you go through Games Pass and you get one, you're starting at $24.99 a month, and the Xbox Series S has an MSRP. See if we can actually see if Microsoft still posts one here. Uh, Alright, specs. Well, that was very helpful. Well, this wasn't very helpful either. Alright, it doesn't actually. Alright, looking at all access. Alright, alright, those are with. Alright, Xbox Series S, MSRP. Alright, $299. So $299, you get a 1080p focus console. And if you're doing Xbox Games Pass, you can get one that way. $299 for a console that does the exact same thing as a $380 graphics card. I'm sorry, if you buy a 6600, even if you buy it at MSRP, you're getting screwed. If AMD had launched it at 179, great. That would have been an actually really good target price point. They had launched it at 250, maybe not so great. Mm, But over 300 for a 1080 card? No. Just